This Liberty Sports Update is brought to you by Beacon Credit Union.
All right, again, we continue to give God the glory as He continues to give us a lot of different blessings in each and every day and throughout our whole football team and throughout our whole university, and thank Him for that. Positive things here. I think really proud of our football team is how they showed adversity, how they could handle adversity. Number one, we obviously didn't have a very good performance against North Texas, and then to see our players, our coaches, our staff respond in a good way here for this last week's game. And then also from the standpoint of being able to go out and play an away game, playing in New Mexico, the elevation, the dryness, the temperature, and all those type of things, to see how our players could respond. I'm very, very proud of the way they did that. And the last thing on that same scenario is they showed how they could finish. When you have adversity from the previous week, during the week, getting to the game, doing the game, at the end of the game, a lot of little adversity things that occurred, and you always want to see how you're going to respond. And so I'm very proud of really everybody involved. Again, not just the players, really a lot of people involved, through our trainers to a whole lot of people. I want to appreciate them. Then I'm very proud of our special team. They responded too. Again, we had a poor performance, and really this whole season hasn't been great, hasn't been good overall, special teams. So, again, we got things corrected after the North Texas game, and it was great to see that come to fruition here in the New Mexico game, particularly 2 or 3 guys there. Corbin Jackson, great job on him getting that block. Aiden Alves responded in a tremendous way of just executing what he needed to do and get better at his craft, and he did that. And Aaron Parrish, great job by him kicking a field goal there at the end, a pressure-type field goal that was needed. It was great to see him respond under those circumstances. And again, I just want to talk about my coaching staff. Again, after the loss there at North Texas, I am really pleased at how they responded in their preparation with our players and doing things in a little different way to help us to continue to improve as a football team, continue to be positive, even during the game and throughout the game. As far as we had to make a lot of adjustments, some of it's scheme, some of it's personnel. And that showed me that our coaching staff know how to coach, they know how to teach, they know how to develop, and they know how to motivate our players and being able to respond in some things that wasn't very good in the last 2 or 3 weeks in the situation. Moving on to New Mexico State. I do know Doug Martin. I faced him several years there when I was at Buffalo. He was at Kent State for the 4 years I was at Buffalo. So I know about him. Very bright person when it comes to offense. He knows his stuff. He knows how to get his quarterbacks to play well. I've seen that for many years, not just at Kent State. He's been in East Carolina and some other places there before he was there at Kent State and now at New Mexico State. So he is the head coach. He's the offensive coordinator. So he's involved in a lot of different things there, and he's shown and proven that they can move the football and they can do a lot of good things. They struggle a little bit offensively right now, as far as what they're trying to do with their quarterback. I think they finally maybe have settled in on one guy. I believe that might be Atkins. It seemed like in the last ball game he helped them to get them to a victory there against UTEP. Offensively, they run a little bit of the zone read stuff a little bit, and they spread you out. I'm very impressed with their running back. I think they're number 1, very fast, very quick, and can do some great things. They got a number 7, also plays running back, same kind of guy, very good, speed, tough runner. Then they bring in the 3rd guy, a bigger guy, maybe about 6'1", maybe he's 215, 220. And they got 3 running backs that they use quite a bit in all different ways, running the football and throwing the football there. So we got a challenge as far as that goes. Again, he's done a great job there. Last year, the first time they went to a bowl game in 57 years, and then they won their bowl game. So it tells you that he can coach, he can teach, and he can develop. It's what he's done there. Defensive-wise, there, Frank Spazzanani, veteran DC there. I faced him once or twice there. He was at Boston College when I was at Buffalo. As far as being able to go against his defense, he's done a fantastic job wherever he's been. Last year, they had 43 sacks. I think that might have been 2nd or 3rd in the country at FBS level. Again, some of those guys are gone, but that tells you that he can coach, he can teach, and develop guys. I think this year they got 14 or 15 sacks at this point in time. And if I had to say one area of their defense, or really maybe their whole football team, that I'm very impressed with is their defensive line. I think they got two guys on the interior, 6'2", 6'1", 6'3", or whatever they may be. They're all 300-plus pounds. They're stout. They're strong. They actually can move very well. I've seen them use their hands where they can shed blocks, get off a block, and go make a tackle. When you see D tackles doing that, that impresses you. They also got two defensive ends that are good size, good length, anywhere from 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", being 245, 250, where they can pass rush, they can get off blocks, they got great length. They keep some of the offensive linemen off their bodies because of their length. So their top four there I really, really impressed with, and then we're going to have to play our best football game against them. Special teams there, I think they're solid in where they're at as far as that goes. Injury report here, Kentori Matthews is questionable. Fidel Obathan is probable. He'll be back practicing. Kamani Donaldson is doubtful, lower body. Jeremy Peters is probable. Damian King is out at least 4 weeks, lower body. The keys to the game, we got to play well for 4 quarters. I'm still waiting to see that. We've played 1 quarter, we played 2 quarters good, and we may have played 3 quarters good, but we haven't played a true 4 quarters, so we must do that here against this football team. Again, playing on the road, I think that's very, very important. Again, they had a bye week, so I know that they're well rested, and we got to make sure we're able to respond in the right way. We must be mentally tough, because of the trip, another 3.5-hour flight per se, going into another high elevation, guys a little bit banged up. So mentally tough. This is going to be a true test of our mental toughness, so therefore we can be physically tough and be able to be physically where we can play our best football game. And it starts, obviously, today with the mental toughness as far as them preparation. And then I think a little bit more specific on 2 things that I want to see us improve on this week, and I think the keys to the game is defensively, we still haven't been able to have that one play for us over 20 yards on every 20 snaps. We must get that done. We're still having too many explosive plays being against our defense. Hopefully we can get that thing rectified here. Hopefully this is the week that we can do that. I think offensively, we need to average 4 yards per carry. I think that's very important for us to do, to continue to do. Yeah, we're going to throw the football, but we must be able to average. Whether we run the ball 10 times or whether we run the ball 50 times, I want to see us to make sure that we have a 4.0 or more average as far as running the football. When that happens, I think we have a great chance to be successful. Open it up.
Coach, just to clarify a couple things, I guess, from the injury report, you said Jeremy Peters was probable this week, and that was upper body?
Upper body.
Okay. I guess with Buckshot, that was just a lot of cramping, just being in the
He's ready to go.
Okay. With preparing for this week, going back to the high elevation, going back into that same environment, do you think that you and your team have a better understanding than you did last week going in about how to prepare for that?
I think we as coaches had a better understanding, and maybe we did not do a very good job of getting our players to do what they were supposed to do. Again, they're 18 to 20 years old. We can't be around them 24/7 as far as hydration, as far as eating, all those things to try to prepare for that ahead of time. But we also know each individual person is different and unique, and we kind of talked about things in general. So we covered those things. Again, you can't be 100% sure that you're going to be able to do that with each individual guy of whatever 60 to 70 players that we take on a trip. But I'm hoping that our guys will respond to this in a better way this time around. Again, you got sleep. Like I said, you got food. You got hydration. There are just so many different factors that go into it. You got guys that some played 90-something snaps. Some played 100 snaps when you start counting special teams. And then you say, is that humanly possible for somebody to do that at the high level? I mean, you can go do it, but can you execute, and can you play, and can you do everything that you ask you to do? So I believe that we have learned from that, but I guess time will tell. As far as us as coaches, but hopefully also particularly our young men, as in we've started that preparation even Sunday, as far as trying to continue to do things that we can do to try to prevent. But like I said, you're never going to be 100%, so I think we will be better prepared.
You said that you kind of touted your coaches on the adjustments that they were able to make in game and even the preparation going in kind of in a different way, I think was the way that you described it. What was different about maybe the preparation and just the way that your coaches were able to adjust in game?
We slowed down some things in practice. We got a lot more deep, being more specific about what we need to do and how we need to do it. We just adjusted some small detailed things in our practices, per se, that we thought were better for us to do both offensively and defensively. Just talked to our coaches a little bit more, be more detailed at some things. We need to slow things down in our practices and not just in running plays. Not to say that we do that, but I just thought we had done that maybe in the last week or two. And I thought they did a very good job of making some adjustments, teaching our guys a little bit more specific on things. I think our guys took that, and I think our performance showed that. Obviously, some numbers on the defensive side was not good, but I think in the first half, I thought our defense played fairly well. But again, we got caught up in the conditioning, all those things. So those were some a little bit more specifics of what we made adjustments last week.
With Damian King already missing one of the first 4 games this week and being out 4 weeks, are you thinking about possibility of redshirting him to have him available next year? And also, how did you feel Kevin Saw did in the kickoff return game when he had that opportunity last week?
I think we'll wait and evaluate that. If in 4 weeks he's able to come back and play, or if it's longer than that, I think we'll make that decision at that point in time. I guess that's a possibility as far as him having a redshirt year and taking that in consideration. But we're not going to make that decision now. Kevin Shaw, again, when his number was called, or per se he got a chance to perform, whether it was kickoff return or whether it was also as far as a receiver. We're very pleased in what he can do and what he's able to do. He's very, very important in our football program, and we hope that he can continue to improve.
Lower body, upper body with Damian?
Damian King, lower.
Lower body. And with regards to rotating the slot with DJ, who else do you perceive doing
I think that's up for discussion there. We still don't know that answer. You got all kind of different ways that we could do that. You got the possibility there, J.T. Wood, Kevin Shaw, so on and so forth. I mean, it'd be probably the 2 guys, but I think we're just going to have to play it out and kind of see how we practice and see what we need to do.
Frankie Hickson comes off the depth chart at kick return this week. Do you want him more focused just in the run game at this point?
He could be a kickoff return. I guess right now I'm going to say the first kickoff return per se. We're going to lean towards somebody else. I think it also depends on the rest of the week there with Contori and all those things of that nature. So I think it could change. But as of today, that's how I think we would go. We know he's going to get a little bit of load of some things that are running back. We just got to see how Contori does here toward the end of the week.
With the running attack, are you more concerned about what you're averaging per carry and using that as a gauge of balance instead of how many carries or whatnot? Does
Correct.
that make sense?
Yeah. We're I'm more concerned about averaging as far as per carry. Like I said, we may have some game we may give it to them 20 times. I'm talking overall team, or we may run it 50 times a game. But at the end of the day, did we have some positive yardage? I look at the tackles for losses, or we had minus yards. But overall, at the end of the day, did we average 4 points? Again, you may have a 30-yard run. I understand all those kind of things, but as long as we have that, that's what our offense, I think, can be very, very successful if we have that establishment of averaging 4 yards. We go even more deeper to say on any first down run, are we getting 4 yards? I don't get in that deep here, but us as coaches, I look at that and study that as far as our coordinator with Joe Daly and all that, as far as what are we doing on first down when we run the football. Are we averaging 4 yards? So it may not just be, overall first down, second down, and third down. We get into that aspect also on third down and fourth down. When it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, you may not average 4 yards, but did you convert? That's almost 4. That's 4 yards in our thinking because it's a successful play. Mm-hmm.
At the end of the game, you had Corbin Jackson play a little bit at cornerback when Peters was out, Malik Matthews was out. How comfortable do you feel about the depth there at cornerback?
We're pretty good with the corner. I mean, I think it was only really one play. We just had a situation where we had a late substitution and we weren't able to get the guys over and all that. So that's an emergency situation. Corbin could play corner, but that's not any anticipation that he's going to play corner for 60, 70, 80 snaps or anything of that nature.
Along those lines, Javon Scruggs onto the 2 deep now. What's he done to earn that spot?
Well, I think he's a hard worker. I think if you ask anybody as a coach or as a player and watching him practice, watching his detail, He loves to play the game. He's very detailed. He understands things of that nature. So he's earned it because of his work ethic. And I think we just brought him along here in these first 2 or 3 or 4 ball games that we're going to play him this year. There's no doubt about that. He's accepted that, whether we're going to play him in 2 games or 12 games or whatever. He's ready to play. And so he's earned where he's at. And if we have to play him, he's ready to go.
Coach, special teams on the kickoffs, a couple of times second half New Mexico, pooched a couple that one hit off Frankie's headgear. Mm-hmm. You think that was by design to limit the return or maybe to sneak to get the ball back? And conversely, Aaron squibbed the last few for you guys, and was that by design?
From their side of it, their kickoffs, it was really more from the perspective that we had our hands team on. You know, you can go back and forth, say, should I have my hands team out there? Should I have the kickoff return team out there? I think it was one time it was 8 minutes left in the game. Another time I think it was 5 minutes left in the game. And just say, well, I'd rather deter them from doing a onside kick, and it's a little bit of risky of the situation where they could pooch it like they did in 1-1. They kicked it in the end zone and gave us an opportunity. So, you know, it was just a great design. I probably would have done the same thing if I was on their side to say, hey, if the kickoff return team is not there, kick the ball in a vulnerable area. From my perspective, as far as us squibbing the ball is what we call it, as far as with Aaron Parrish, that's kickoff. That was by design. We just want to keep the ball away from our kickoff returner. I think when you squib and you do things there in that nature, you have a tendency to kind of offset some of their timing when they're blocking on the kickoff return. So that was by our design. He did what he was supposed to do.
What do you envision for the preparation this week in between 2 games that far away? Again, having to do the same travel routine coming up here this Thursday. You mentioned some things were kind of different last week in terms of preparation, with slowing things down. This week, in terms of preparation, what do you envision? What do you want to do differently or maybe the same?
We cut practice 10 to 15 minutes, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm going to wait to make a decision after the first 2 practices here and decide how long we're going to practice on Thursday. So I think in general we're cutting back time-wise, just them being on the field. We're doing a little bit more from a nutritional side of it, giving them a few more things as far as if you want to say recovery drinks afterwards, having water in their meeting rooms to hydrate a little bit more. So those kind of things that we're doing on the football field is what we're trying to do on the back end. Planning maybe here as we come back. We'll probably getting in at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to have them come in later. We're not going to practice, not going to be on the football field. Just going to come in and watch the tape. Get them out of here at 6:30, 6:45 probably on Sunday. Then we'll get back in a routine. Then I'll make a decision Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday again, just to kind of get a feel of how our team is physically, and talking to our trainers, talking to our doctors. So it's just not me kind of just making my own decision. I had a lot of discussion with the doctors, Barry Fink, Bill Gillespie, and getting a feel for our team and coaches too. Getting a feel in the sense of where our players are at and what we need to do is always thinking to say what we need to do to get them ready, as in next week it'll be 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. What do we need to do to make sure they're ready to play at 2 o'clock on Saturday?
For the second straight week, you're facing a very good return team. New Mexico had returned a kickoff for touchdown 8 years in a row, and Jason Huntley, number 1 from New Mexico State, returned 2 for a touchdown last year, including 1 in the bowl game. Do you guys have a specific plan you want to do and make sure they are limited in that explosive nature?
Well, I think we're still working on that. We'll continue to evaluate where we're at and what we want to do. I think at the end of the week, Coach Downing and myself will have a plan and make adjustments that we need to be made to give us the best chance to be successful.
New Mexico State's obviously, as Damian alluded to, the bowl game last year, but with their lack of success this year in the win-loss record, is that more just about kind of who they've lost from last year, or what difference do you see last year to this year?
Well, I think probably offensively, I lost a quarterback. I think he was a 3-year starter, I believe, or whatever, and then they had an outstanding receiver So I think the quarterback is huge when you lose somebody, a veteran quarterback like that. And then obviously even starting this year, they've already played 3 quarterbacks and seem like that's where they're maybe not quite settled into what they want to do or even who they want and then what they want to do from an offensive point of view. So, again, I know they had a bye week. They got a no more chance. They played an early game. I think they played in what they call the 0 week. So you had all those things going on too. And so I think the bye week might be coming in a good time for them. After they now then played some games, they kind of know where they're at. They knew now what we need to work on. So this is kind of a tough situation for us to be in because I know that they're probably going to make some adjustments. They're going to probably do some things that we haven't seen before. And so that's why it's going to be a very, very good challenge for us in a lot of different ways, not just from making a long trip.
You alluded to them probably showing you something you haven't seen yet. You're playing this team a second time later this year, Thanksgiving weekend. Do you show your whole playbook against them, or do you maybe hold some stuff back, or do you think about adding wrinkles when you play them later this year?
I guess that hadn't even crossed my mind to sit here and because we're going to play them twice in a season to say that we may want to hold something back from the previous game. We're going to do whatever we need to take to win this football game, and then we'll make the adjustments later on as far as playing them at that point in time. And so this game is the most important game, and that's what our coaches know, and that's what they're going to do.
Coach, if you guys can make it 2 in a row in the state of New Mexico, what would that mean to your bunch moving forward for the rest of the year? How big would that be to be able to win back-to-back road trips so far away from home?
Well, I think we got a lot of exposure then in the state of New Mexico. I think it'll be good in one sense, I guess, from Liberty University from that side of it, and obviously across the country, being an FBS team, you get that recognition when you have opportunities to win football games, and obviously, I think it's a tremendous challenge. Obviously, playing them really in a sense three times in 1 year, in a sense of obviously New Mexico State twice and New Mexico once. It just means really a great opportunity for us to win 2 games on the road. First year as an FBS program. That's thrilling and exciting. I know it's going to be a tough challenge in so many different ways. So we got a lot of work to do. Feel confident about our staff, and we'll do a great job of preparing our guys and be ready to play.
I guess kind of following that up in a bigger picture sense, to get out of September 2-2, knowing that there's a couple Power Fives waiting in the wings later on. There's 3 consecutive weeks you're on the road later on. Do you feel good about where you are right now as a football team?
I don't like that word, feel good.
Do you like where you are?
It's a week to week. Being a coach at the FBS level, played the FBS level, you can't think too far ahead. Our first year as an FBS team, every game is so vital. You have injuries that come up. Things are always coming up, and every week is to say who we got, who would we have, and really trying to respond to our guys to know that every single week you got to play your best. You cannot take a day off of preparation. And the biggest thing about preparation, not only just on the football field, but in the weight room, taking care of their bodies, and trying to teach and develop all these young men about that from 18 to 22 years old. And they got all this other stuff going on. They got school. They got all their studies. We got things going on with their family, their girlfriends, so on and so forth. A lot of things are going on, and so we try to keep them engaged and focus on what the task at hand. And sometimes you can look at a video and a tape, and again, you get caught up in what the record is. You get caught up in who they are and what they did or didn't do. Again, I don't look too far ahead. I know that's just me as a coach, but I think my challenge as a coach is for really to get the players to really start looking at it game by game, day by day, and that's the challenge in our coaching staff. I think so far done a great job there. Obviously after 4 ball games, but this time period here in New Mexico State, I was concerned about it of the obvious of being able to travel on 3.5 hours back-to-back weeks is the most concern that I've had and the most challenge for me as a football coach, as a head coach, that I've been exposed to in my career. And so I guess we'll find out how I have my team respond in this scenario.
You mentioned in your opening remarks about coaching against Doug Martin when he was at Kent State. You were at Buffalo. Mm-hmm. Most of those games were relatively competitive. What do you remember about how prepared his teams were, and can you expect the same thing Saturday?
Oh, they're well prepared. I know he knows his football. I know he knows his offensive schemes to be able to attack a defense. I've seen it many times, and I know that he's going to make some great adjustments, and we're going to see their best football game as they played this so far. So I know they're going to have a good football team this week. That's all I'm concerned about. I know I'm going to have my team ready to play, and I know our coaches will too.
Coach DJ Stubbs, 2 weeks in a row passing attempts. He's 1 for 2. Is he trying to crack the rotation there?
Never know. Never know. And we always got it in the repertoire for him to throw it. We definitely took out some video there and checking him out there in high school, and Coach Day's done a great job of implementing that in our game plan.